Hello everyone, I'm Grego, and this is the Yes We Are Open podcast. My final stop in Regina is the neighborhood of Glen Elm, a residential neighborhood in the eastern quadrant of the city. Ever since I decided on my destination for this season, I've been looking forward to this stop. During my research of Regina and my search for things that are truly unique to the city, one thing in particular caught my interest, something called Regina-style pizza. Now, being a former pizza boy myself, I worked for 7 years in many different pizza chains, so I needed to learn what in the world was Regina-style pizza. I'd heard of Chicago-style or New York-style, and of course there's Sicilian or Neapolitan style, but what on earth could be so unique about pizza from Regina, Saskatchewan? I did some more research and found out that Regina-style pizza is known for its thick, doughy crust and generous toppings. I'll soon come to find out that the word generous is a gross understatement. But more interesting is the fact that it has roots in the city's Greek community. It turns out Regina has a rich history of Greek immigrants dating back to the early 20th century. One of those early Greek settlers was Sam Sinnis in 1911. He became a prominent figure operating restaurants across Saskatchewan and serving as the first president of Regina's Greek community. Now today, approximately 5% of Regina's population identifies as Greek. Not bad, but it sounds like they're punching well above their weight in their culinary influence over Regina. So now I'm on a mission to see for myself what makes this pizza so different, and I found the perfect place to carry out my mission, Tumblers Pizza. I walk into Tumblers. There's a small area at the front for folks to pick up their fresh orders. I'm directed by Jim, the owner, who's on the phone with a customer, to come through the door to the kitchen. A large, well-organized kitchen with an assembly line of about 10 workers making pizzas. Some are stretching dough, others spreading sauce, still others adding cheese and other toppings. The first thing I notice is just how many toppings they're adding to each pizza. Then I'm led to the back where there are a couple of walk-in coolers, mixers, and a box folding station. Jim finishes his call and invites me into his back office where we sit down for his interview.
Hello, my name is Jim Baiton. I'm the founder and the owner of Tumblers Pizza since 1979. We're actually Romanian and German ancestors. Our roots start at the farm in Spring Valley, where my father and his family had a farm, and eventually they migrated from the farm to Moose Jaw, then to Regina.
But you've always been in Saskatchewan your entire life.
Yes. When I was 14, we lived behind a very busy mall, and in that mall, Houston Pizza opened, and we had a big family. We had 8 kids in our family, and so naturally, food was scarce, so pizza sounded good. We skipped out of church, me and my 2 brothers, and went in the basement and started making pizza boxes for pizza. Oh. And so that's how my introduction to pizza was when I was 14. We got hell from Mom for skipping out of church, but that's another story. So we eventually got that solved because one guy went over to the church, got the bulletin and the sermon, and then we had the information that my mom was looking for. So
you had plausible deniability.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Very good.
I really enjoyed it. I worked as a driver for them when I turned 16. Then I also merged over to the Hotel Saskatchewan, where I learned a lot about cooking and sauces and such. And then I still kept because I always had more than one job. I had about 3 jobs. So I still worked at Houston. I worked at the hotel. And then I worked at Western Pizza for a short while until I bought it.
So I
bought Western Pizza, the original location.
Did you have any business experience before?
I did. I had a carpet cleaning business when I was 17, and I managed to accumulate enough money to put a down payment on a house when I was 17.
Oh, wow. And you bought an existing franchise, so you probably already had a client base, right?
Yeah, we had a client base, but we also, when I worked at Houston Pizza, we had people that really liked what we did there too, and my experience in the hotel. The hotel was instrumental because I saw the real side of cooking, sauces, soups, breads, dough, all that stuff, and the interaction in a kitchen, how to clean a kitchen. Right. All that stuff there was valuable for going forward.
So why Tumblers? What's the name signify?
Well, how we thought of the name is kind of weird. One day we just decided, you know what? Being generic is not our thing. We wanted to be unique. And so I had some unique ideas. And so we created Tumblers Pizza by just putting our finger in a dictionary. And my finger pointed to Tumblers. And I said, hey.
Perfect.
It's got a little bit of action in it. Does it ring pizza? Maybe not, but maybe so.
How were the first few years of Tumblers? Like, how were you received?
Well, you know, back then we had a monopoly. So it was a blessing in disguise, you know. I thought I was smart, but it's actually because the lack of competition back then was a gift as well. Yeah. And we capitalized with the way we handled people and the way we treated our customers. Mm-hmm. It blossomed right away.
So what sets you apart from other pizza places?
We understood about people first. Mm-hmm. The people that walk through the door are not only supporting you financially, they're your messenger to the other people to tell them what kind of an experience they had. Yeah. We tried to separate ourselves from the franchise, what they're doing. A lot of places now are going 2 for 1, 3 for 1 and all that. Like the law of business, you can't get anything for free. It's just impossible. If you're getting something for free and it's really great and it's generous, that business won't be in business. We wanted to be unique, and that's what we did. Number one is we buy cheese, bulk cheese, and we grind it. There's 3 different kinds of cheese. We've been buying it from Sabuto. It's high quality. They're all different percentages of fat. That cheese is getting ground. It goes right on the pizza. It's not a bagged cheese that was pre-ground somewhere with anti-molding agent and all the other stuff they put in there so it doesn't stick together. This is fresh cheese going onto a pizza, shrink wrapped through a heat tunnel into the freezer in 4.5 minutes.
What's your name?
Alan.
Alan, nice name. My name's Alan as well. How long you been working at Tumblers?
Over 40 years.
40 years, so you're an OG.
Yeah, you can say that.
What's your favorite part of working here?
My freedom.
I see you're doing the cheese right now. Do you do just cheese or do you do all sorts of things?
Everything.
Tomatoes that I brought in from California, from Stanislaus, was unique. Super expensive, but I understood about the quality of tomato from the Polish chef that I met in the hotel. He told me, you start off with quality, you end up with quality. And quality has been mission number 1 at Tumblers from day 1. And we have proved that quality works.
This is your central kitchen?
This is it. This is a factory. We make 500 pizzas a day here.
Wow.
They make them in 4 hours. We have a system. So it's 4 hours, and then there's a half an hour of deep cleaning every day. When they leave here, it's like a hospital.
So you do this because you're now wholesaling pizza?
We do it, but we also sell our pizzas to a customer can pick up the phone or go online and order a 13-inch pizza. Mm-hmm. We only sell pizza. We don't sell French fries. We don't sell hamburgers. We sell nothing. Just pizza, yeah. One size. And when you come and order a pizza here, the experience that you're going to have, I assure you, you won't have had it somewhere else like that.
So the wholesale pizzas, you're sending them out to, I guess, grocery stores, right?
Yes.
Are they going into like the fresh, ready-made section, or are they frozen?
No, they're frozen.
Okay.
We have 3 freezer trucks, and we deliver them. And then we also have a partner in the logistics area, JJL Logistics, and they deliver our stuff that goes farther away. But we have a very good system for delivery.
Behind me is a map of Saskatchewan with, I think you said, around 140 locations.
Yeah, give or take. It varies. We got 2 new ones yesterday. So.
And right now, all your customers are in Saskatchewan.
Yes, well, the way the food business is, nothing with protein can go across the border, not unless you have a federally inspected program.
So from province to province, there's that kind of regulation?
Yes, right now it is, but I hope they eventually take that down. It's almost ridiculous.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Like I'm 5 seconds from the border, and people are eating our pizza, and then on the other side they can't. It doesn't make sense.
Now, researching my trip to Regina, because it's my first time here, I read about something called Regina-style pizza. What is that?
Well, I'll tell you what that is and where it started. It started right from where I was in the basement when I was 14. That was Houston Pizza on Hill Avenue. The Kalitzis brothers, George, Gus, Tony, and John. They're 4 brothers. They came from Montreal, originally from Greece. Hardest working guys, nice guys, and they gave me a gift of letting me just to work in the basement for a free pizza. And I watched them, how they operated with their customers, and they were geniuses at public relation, number one. And number two is they brought something totally unique to Regina. Now, Regina back then, they had Sammy's Pizza, they had Gondola, they had all these like thinner style pizzas, but the Cleetzes brothers brought the thicker style pizza with generous toppings. It was a success almost overnight, but they worked so hard. They all had other jobs, and they bought an old laundromat and they converted that into a pizzeria. I watched it from rags to riches, but they earned every penny. And believe me, my hat is still off to them.
Regina-style, though, what makes it different? So it's thicker than traditionally thin pizza, so it's not like New York style, but how is it different from Chicago style then?
It's because Chicago style is mostly crust. Okay. It's a big crust, you know. This has got a generous crust. It's a bread dough. It's a nice crust, but the sauce that we put on a Regina-style pizza is a lot thicker. And no disrespect to Italians, that's a different ball game altogether.
Sure.
Their tomato, you can almost think it's water when they put it onto their sauce. Yeah. Ours is thick. It's almost like a paste. Our sauce here, as you can see behind me, I have my vault there. That's where the liquids are. And over here is the dry spice. Those two items there's a formality that's so complex and so secretive that it takes a week to make.
Wow. Your sauce.
It takes a week to make the syrup that I put in the sauce.
Oh.
Those pails are filled with spice.
Right.
That spice is...
In Jim's kitchen, there's a sign that reads, "The sauce is boss." This is not just a slogan. It's an integral part of what makes Tumblers Pizza special.
It's not ready to go into the tomato. And the tomato, like I said, we bring it from California. It's a special tomato. Nobody's buying it. It's too expensive.
Jim explained to me the complex, week-long process for creating Tumblers' famous sauce. Or at least, as much as he's willing to share. Because when it comes to his secret sauce recipe, Colonel Sanders has nothing on Jim Baiton.
The mixture is made every Saturday. Saturday, I come in here in the morning, usually 5:30. All the cameras go off. It's locked down. There's nobody else here. The spices have been made already. I usually make the spices a separate day when there's nobody here. The garbage never goes in our garbage. And in fact, I separate the garbage so that, let's say if someone did find one bag, they wouldn't figure that goes there. And that one bag will go some garbage place, not here, and the other garbage will go somewhere else.
Wow. While Jim's measures may seem extreme, you can't argue with his success. And now I'm even more eager to try this Regina-style pizza. And I mean, when you say it's secretive, there's literally a padlock on your sauce cabinet or...
Yeah, and you know what? That's my cabinet. I have my key for that. I've worked with one fella for 42 years. He doesn't even know the recipe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he doesn't know the recipe. And here's the story behind that. I don't want anybody to say they have our sauce.
Mm-hmm. Hi, your name is?
My name is Kiran Pal.
And how long have you been at Tumblers?
It's been more than 2 years.
2 years? And how do you like it here?
Good, very good. Yeah.
What's your favorite part?
Sauce.
Yeah, the sauce is famous.
Yeah, the sauce is quite famous and like tastes different. As I know the process of making it, like the idea a little bit. Oh, it's amazing.
We make 21 pails, 16-liter pails of pizza sauce every week here. Wow. That's a substantial amount. If anybody can just fathom how many spoonfuls that is, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, 21 a week. That is. I mean, but you've got a factory going on here, so I guess you need it. Yeah,
that's it. But we didn't sacrifice the quality for the factory because they were in a hurry. That doesn't mean nothing. In fact, one time when I couldn't get the tomato that I use in, I stopped production because I wouldn't make it with an inferior product. Wow. I just closed my eyes and I remember what that Polish chef said to me. Start with quality, finish with quality. Well, quality means that your sauce has to be mixed properly. Are we overdoing it? Maybe we are, but not really, because you can't do something too good too long. It's going to be better, right? So that's the way we look at it.
Up next, Tumblers Pizza is an institution not only in Regina, but in the entire province of Saskatchewan. Their commitment to quality is admirable. With food prices on the rise, Are they able to keep up their high standards without pricing themselves out of the market? Stay tuned to find out. You're listening to Yes, We Are Open. In 1979, Jim Baiton bought a Western pizza franchise, and a few years later, turned it into Tumblers Pizza. Since then, Tumblers has become one of the best places for Regina-style pizza in the province. But Tumblers has gone through a lot of change in the past few years. Before they began wholesaling their pizza, they had a restaurant and sold more than just pizza. So why the change? What other challenges have they faced? Let's find out. If I were to ask you to think, over the last 41 years, what's been one or two of your biggest struggles as a business, what would that be?
I used to think more was better. Like, for example, menus. Back when we had restaurant, we had too much on our menu. Sure, our pizza was unique, but we didn't have the opportunity that we do now to focus on what we really are.
Sure.
So we are a pizza place. We're not a hamburger place. We're not a poutine place. We're not a dry rib place. We make pizza, and we make pizza good.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time because I was in fear of competitors having what we didn't have. I didn't lose the focus on the sauce and the quality, but what happens is it dilutes what you're doing. And that was one of our mistakes.
Sure.
And, trying to be everything to everyone, it doesn't work. We are what we are. We have one size of pizza here now, and that simple, they call it the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That business model is the way to go.
Was there any point in time in 41 years where you were, looking at the numbers or looking at the books saying, if we don't hit a certain number next month, we may have to shut down?
Well, we had our moments. Like, I had my two brothers with me initially, and eventually they decided that they didn't want to. It was a lot of work,
Yeah.
A lot of work. And we had a lot of other things attached to our business, which, like, I get back to keep it simple, which complicated things. And then I brought my two sons along and, I dragged them into the party. One son wanted to be an airline pilot and the other guy wanted to be a firefighter. And one day, my one son came up to me and said, "Hey, Dad, I love this, but I don't want to be in the food business anymore." And it really hurt.
Sure.
But, that was my dream and it wasn't his dream.
Yeah.
Following up with that, my other son, who's the only other person that knows the recipe, and we've kept it that way because we wanted to keep it so that, let's say if something happened, we can still continue this idea.
Let's talk a little bit about the pandemic, because it was a big thing and it threatened a lot of businesses. How did you guys do during that?
Well, I was already out of the restaurant business by then.
Oh, good.
I was manufacturing pizzas already. I had a lot of friends in the co-op grocery stores and, a lot of friends everywhere from being in the community. And we got lucky. We were out of play when all that turmoils happened with the pandemic. What it did do, though, it opened up a huge golden door for us because then people were staying home, but they still wanted that pizza. So that's where we took advantage. We started small, and then now we've got this facility. It doesn't look that big, but it is like a nuclear warhead here. We can produce, and we do produce, 500 pizzas a day.
Yeah,
in 4 hours.
Huge.
So,
it's impressive.
Yeah. So that pandemic, it gave us an extra gear, let's say. But I honestly believe if the pandemic didn't happen, that the business is still shifting to people's homes.
Sure.
People are doing more things. They're developing their house. It's their palace. It's whatever.
Exactly. They're making it more and more comfortable
Yes.
not to leave. I think a lot of people, especially in business, say the pandemic accelerated things maybe by 10 years. Like, for example,
I don't know how many years it sped it up, but
in terms of like contactless payment happened really quickly because it had to, right? Online ordering got better and better because it had to.
Yeah.
Delivery, I don't know if you use these Uber delivery services, but
we don't.
Yeah.
And the reason why we don't is we use Chow Local.
Yeah.
Chow Local is a local company. That's the first thing. So everything is about local, hey?
Yeah.
Chow Local is a local company. That money stays in Regina, and it's such a reasonable fee. It's the best thing that we've ever done for online ordering is Chow Local. And we have our own delivery service too. So if you phone directly, then one of our guys will come right to your house after we make your pizza with a Moneris machine. He'll go right in and they'll do their transaction right there, and boom, it's perfect.
Beyond the pandemic, this is where a lot of businesses say they had their busiest time after the lockdowns lifted and things kind of got back to normal. But then we get hit with hyperinflation. How did that affect your business?
I don't think the restaurant business ever went back to normal. So I disagree with that part. Like, I'm in good touch with a lot of our suppliers, and, you know, there's a lot of sounding out there that no, things are not back to normal. And will they go back to normal? No, because the people have shifted already. The pandemic did cause and speed that up, like you said earlier. But I believe that it's a different business model now.
Sure. But in terms of inflation, you said you're very particular, especially your tomatoes are coming from California, and they're not cheap.
No.
I mean, I interviewed a chocolatier in Banff who talked about how sugar prices tripled during that time and how that affected his business, obviously, right? I imagine you probably went through similar things.
Well, instead of making a full dollar, you're making 90 cents or 80 cents. But, you know, the bottom line is when you have a business model that's that successful, that we do have, it can actually pay for those deficiencies. So we're very fortunate. I don't say like it's not affecting the other restaurants and the takeout places, but we have such a great business model here that I believe it's not bulletproof, but it's darn near, you know?
You were able to maybe absorb some of those.
Yes, we do absorb them.
All right, last struggle and the most recent. I don't even know how I'm going to incorporate this into our stories because it's changing every day. Is the threat of tariffs that's going on right now. There's a big Buy Canadian movement I'm sure you're familiar with. So talk about how that's affecting your business, if it is at all right now.
What we have to do is we have to not lose focus on the quality. We have to focus in on what we were doing great before and be greater at it. And I believe that that's going to override anything that's happening in this particular situation. I don't say everything, like, you know, car manufacturing. We're different, you know. People do have to eat, and will it cost more money? It might. No matter what, we're not going to be able to solve the problem completely. What we can do, though, is we're not buying meat from the United States, right? And we're not buying our cheese from the United States. It's all from Canada. We source everything we can in Canada. Moneris, which we've dealt with always, we were one of the first people to use a debit machine at the door. Right. Back then, it was like, I thought when they first started talking about that, I go, I'm not doing that. But what a mistake that would have been. Yeah. Well, we would have figured it out real fast. Yeah. But the debit machine has really gave the customer freedom to do a transaction without having cash. And a lot of our superstores, for example, they pay us with their credit card as well. And we do the transaction on a Moneris machine.
So you're happy with Moneris?
Yes, we're very happy. And a lot of companies will phone you and say, oh yeah, we're this company, we're that company. I get a call twice a week like that. And I just say, listen, we've been doing this for a long time. We are never switching. So if you have this in a data file, just get that number out of there because we're not switching.
Coming up after the break, we find out what the future holds for Tumblers Pizza. Welcome back to Yes, We Are Open. Tumblers Pizza has successfully pivoted from restaurant to pizza wholesaler while maintaining their high standards of quality. They're now in over 140 stores throughout the province and counting. So what does the future hold for Tumblers Pizza? Let's find out. So the future of Tumblers Pizza, it looks like from the map behind me that you're constantly adding new customers to your wholesale. You're still growing. What is your vision for the future of Tumblers Pizza?
Somebody to walk through my door and have the passion that I do, and I can show them my skill to carry on the legacy.
Your one son is the only other person with the secret to the tomato sauce.
Yes.
What's it going to take for somebody to come in? And I mean, you've already mentioned passion, and that seems obvious here. For somebody to come in and say, I want to take it over, what's your secret? What's the sauce?
This is the tricky part of this whole scenario. We've been approached, and I'll just say this gently, by the big guys. They're looking at possibly taking this formula, and if it's done correctly, it could be done correctly in a different environment and sold across Canada. That would be my ultimate dream. And it's sure not the money. It's the idea of someone going, hey, that's the legacy we want to leave. We want to leave a good taste in your mouth, if you will. Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Tumblers is a legacy. Not because I'm saying so, but it's because passion is the key. If you love something that you're doing, I don't care if it's making pizzas or fixing cars or whatever you're doing. When you have the passion that I do for doing what you do, and I do have it, and everybody that works for me, when I see they have it, they are a part of the family. And we are going to continue. Somebody in the future will take this to the next level. We are not redlining, but we are getting close to that top point. But I'm 67 now, and I would have to say, will the sun set finally on our dream? It'll never set as far as I'm concerned, but I will find somebody that has the passion to continue.
So, again, you mentioned your two sons, they've got their futures already, a firefighter and an airline pilot, so there's no interest there in taking over the family business.
Well, things change, when people get married, they have kids, and, there's situations, with families that will not accommodate what it takes to have that commitment. And that's where we're at. I love my family. I'm doing this for the family. And for the customer. The customer is our family too.
I can't ask your family members. How do you think they would answer the question, how do you feel about what Jim has built here with Tumblers?
Well, whether they're participating on a day-to-day basis, we're family, and everybody's proud of the family. Family is everything, as we know, and I'm sure that they're proud of what's going on. They've been along through the journey with us. Through this whole process has been a journey, and life is a journey, but so is an evolution of a dream. And this has been a dream come true.
For you, personally, how do you feel about what you've done with Tumblers over the last 41 years?
Well, I don't want to sound like I'm full of myself, but I'm going to tell you right now, I am super proud, but I don't take all the credit. The team that's out there right now, the team that's been with me for 42 years, and so many people have been so generous with advice and support. It's always been a thrill to come to work. When I come here usually at 5:30 in the morning. I'm here by myself. I open that door. I am just so grateful. I'm super spiritual. I believe that God has sent a gift, and I have accepted it, and thank you, Lord.
Is Tumblers Pizza open? Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much.
He almost forgot the pizza.
That's the story of Tumblers Pizza. In technology, there's a term called MVP, which stands for Minimum Viable Product. This term is defined as being a version of a product with just enough features to be usable by early adopter customers who can then provide feedback for future product development. Now, I know what you're thinking, Al, what does this have to do with pizza? Hang with me for a second. In business, there's a constant battle between quality and price. Often one is sacrificed for the other. No one goes into business with the intention of producing low-quality goods. But often, in order to compete with the big players, price wins over. Tough decisions are made, and sometimes corners are cut. As I mentioned off the top, I worked 7 years in pizza when I was younger for various chains. I won't name them. Let's just say I was truly impressed with the attention to detail and quality in Jim's kitchen. Whereas some of the places I worked used scales to make sure we didn't put too many toppings on a pie, at Tumblers, they use scales to make sure they put enough. The distinction may seem minor, but it's not. It's the difference between doing just enough to make a minimum viable product, or pizza in this case, versus going above and beyond to make a quality pizza that'll have people talking about it well after it's consumed. And now, here's what you've undoubtedly been waiting for the entire episode, my review of Regina-style pizza from Tumblers. I had the all-dressed pizza, which is one of their best sellers. Jim made it himself. He demonstrated how thick his sauce was by holding the ladle upside down over his head. It didn't move. I couldn't believe how much meat and cheese he put on the pie. I kept thinking back to my pizza days and how many pizzas I would have made with the same amount of toppings, probably dozens. When it was finally cooked, I grabbed a slice. It was so heavy, I had to hold it like a sandwich. I took my first bite and wow is all I can say. It was delicious and definitely worth the wait. There were so many toppings on it that I could only eat a slice and a half before tapping out. And I hadn't had much to eat that morning because Jim had rightfully instructed me to come hungry, so I did. And the sauce? Well, let's just say it's not just a slogan, it is in fact boss. Oh, and by the way, if meat is not your thing, don't worry, there are also vegetarian options. If you ever visit Regina, do yourself a favor and add pizza from Tumblers to your itinerary. You will not regret it. Yes, We Were Open is a Moneris podcast production. I'd like to thank Jim for taking the time to share his story. You can learn more about Tumblers Pizza at tumblerspizzaregina.com. Follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and X. For more information about this podcast, visit our site, yeswewereopenpodcast.com. If you're a small business owner or know of one with an interesting story of perseverance to tell, I'd love to help tell it. You can contact me at podcast@moneris.com. Tune in next week for another story of small business struggle and survival on the Yes We Were Open podcast. I'm Grego. Thank you for listening.